Mr. Drone, you're not really supposed to go across the map, at least not in a regular game of StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a best of 3 series of Protoss versus Zerg. We're in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn. That's game number 1. We have none other than Classic. And his opponent, just guess. Alright, who do you think this is? I'll probably put his name in the title. Playing right here with the red Zerg drones. In the opposite corner of the map and currently taking his opponent's natural expansion, we're looking at Dark's main hatchery. A good old proxy hatch. It's one of those builds that really only, well, at least at this level, really only Dark still plays it. It's a strong build, especially when the opponent doesn't really know exactly what's going on. So ultimately this is more or less just like an expansion block. And this may turn out to be a really strange game. Yeah. So, Dark has successfully blocked his opponent's natural, but Classic has now also blocked his... Okay. It would be really funny if Dark takes the third base first and Classic does the same thing on the other side of the map. I would much appreciate that just for the memes. I don't even really know exactly who comes out ahead in this sort of situation. I think that's what we're gonna get. Yep, there it is. Nexus comes up, so both players forced to take the third base first. Now, I'm assuming we're gonna cancel this. He doesn't necessarily need to, but yeah, with 2 zealots, we really don't have much of another choice. You could go ahead and like try to steal one of the gases in the main base, right? But Classic a little bit too good for that. We're gonna let it finish. I would be surprised if that queen comes out. There's no way. This was, by the way, more Zerglings on the back of it, and now a Roach Warren. Sure. You know what? I like this style that Dark is going for. I don't think it's gonna work out. There's no way that queen is gonna spawn. But I guess the opponent has made the third base first. So Link Speed and Roaches are going to be very, very powerful. Alright, nice control right there by... Ooh, the Protoss does sneak those units away. One of the Zealots right there did get surrounded for just a moment. Adept is out. This is going really well. I love the fact that Classic is defending a wall, even though his expansion is right over there. Ultimately, these links should get destroyed. More Zerglings, however, are running across the map. And there's a Roach Warren out. And I guess as long as you're aggressive, yeah, this hatchery placement doesn't really matter all too much. Really clever play here, though, from Classic. Actually goes into a Void Ray first. He doesn't really know exactly what he's playing against. But he knows that there's a good chance that this aggression is not going to be done just yet. Honestly, I think an Oracle would not be a bad choice either. Which is, I guess, a little bit better if the opponent did decide to play like a... I don't know, like a more conventional opener, but the Void Ray, while a very niche unit in 2023, we don't really see it all too often. Usually we see just like one. It's really powerful in the right situation. Alright, well, Dark sees the Void Ray over there. I think there must have been a moment for just a second where the first Roach got across the map. And, oh, it wasn't even the Roaches yet. No, it was just the Zerglings. Yep, Dark sees the Void Ray and he realizes there's no way that all of that aggression that's currently flooding across is gonna go his way. Game number 2. We find ourselves on the map Heartland. I always wonder if Dark's AFK whenever he does this build, but considering he send out an Overlord, he is not. Normally, you start the game as a Zerg by building a drone. Dark's not doing it. He decides to go for the fastest possible spawning pool. Because the cheese worked out so well in game number 1, right? Really quick probe scout as well, coming across the map here for Classic. The only weird part about this probe scout is that he may very well just try to block his opponent's natural, right? Because the timing of this probe going across the map, it lines up with blocking a hatchery first at 16 supply. And Dark, yeah, he is gonna fake going for the natural expansion over here. Now he's gonna head on over towards the third base location. Oh no, oh no! I love watching Dark when he's well, he's in this mood sometimes, man, where he's just cheesing. So, he was pretending to go for an expansion, then he was pretending to go for a third. The probe, quote-unquote, confirmed it, and now the drone is going across the map instead. Links are gonna be available very soon. Now Classic, by the way, checks and he realizes what's going on. It is gonna be back-to-back proxy hatcheries. Ay. If we would have checked this ever so slightly quicker and the probe was on the low ground, that hatchery would have never come up. Now he will confirm as well. Don't know why the probe is standing over there awkwardly, looking out into the distance. Now he will confirm as well that this was indeed a 12 pool. Do we go double gate? I think we go double gate. Yeah, for sure. I actually really like the positioning right there of the Cybercore. Losing the Cybercore is basically game over. So if you get your Cybercore tucked away like that, you reduce the surface area a ton. But it does mean that this gateway over here is very, very exposed. Thought for a second we forgot the second pylon. All right. Let's see. I think we're gonna need to pull at least 3 probes. I actually would not mind seeing him pull like 5. I think we need a little bit more, no? Well, good controller so far by Classic. This is a complete all-in, by the way, from Zerg. He can drone behind it if he wants to, but it's certainly very committed. Let's leave it at that. He does make an expansion, that probe. Okay, on hold position. Lovely play, actually. Purposefully giving that Zealot a little bit less surface area. One of the Zealots is going to go down, but not without taking down tons of those probes as well. Or probes? Zerglings. Double adept here on the back of this. Would have loved to see a completed wall off. Hatchery right now is done. We do have another expansion here as well for Dark, so he went for his opponent's natural first, and then his own. Zerglings, though, have killed a bunch of probes, but really nothing all too crazy. I mean, Classic can afford losing 7 more workers, and they would be even. That's an insane amount. It's just that, yeah, there's a Zerg infestation growing in his base, and soon there will be a queen out as well, and that queen is gonna be really powerful. Zerglings getting the wraparound on the adept would be massive. Okay, somehow, some way, that adept probably greased up in Vaseline or something, I don't know. Ugh, it managed to slither away, but just barely. And the Zerglings are actually getting quite a bit of work done. No inject on the base. Instead, we're gonna go for a creep tumor. And maybe like another queen I would not mind seeing either. But we have 300 minerals in the bank. I guess we're just... Oh, we're gonna do a spine crawler push on the back of this. Sure. That's the reason why we went for the creep tumor here as well. Ay, ay, ay. Imagine if you're not Classic, right? Imagine you're not one of those Protoss players who's amongst the very best in the world. These builds are a disaster to play against. And I've tried playing them. Like, personally, as a Zerg, I've tried playing these threats against Protoss many, many times. And for some reason, I can never really get it to work. But Dark consistently brings out these strategies. He's been doing it for years. I mean, not as much as he once used to, I suppose. I haven't really seen him play this very much recently, but again, apparently he's found a way to, at the very least, deal a significant amount of damage so far. Now, the question is, does he have enough to obtain the victory with this? There's a lot of shield batteries coming up, but that spine crawler is going to be amazing. He can't afford that much, though. That's something here worth noting. The problem here for Protoss is that, yeah, he's got a lot of probes, but he's got no way of producing anything, because all of his gateways are on the low ground. Battery overcharge right now. I love that one. Probes. The combat probes. Trying their very best with the support right there of the battery. Dark retargeting against that shield battery overcharge. And it will eventually fall, but I mean, that charge was basically finished. Good shade over here on the Adepts. They are going to be able to back up, but ooh, we are going to need to micro this. Immortal is also going to fall, it looks like. Cybercore is already gone. GG is cold, and we're going to game number 3. Alrighty, and that takes us to Site Delta. Now, we've had a drone at the very start of the game. We have a 13 supply Overlord. Dark, what happened? Are we not gonna build hatcheries on the other side of the map this time around? It's one of those builds, right? That like, is solved. It's quote unquote solved. Protoss players have figured out in the past how to play against it. It's just one of those builds that you play against so rarely, especially by a high-ranking Zerg, that you kind of like forget what the optimal way of playing it is. So now he's gonna be able to take that natural easy, right? Maybe not. The probe actually decides to turn around once again. Dark really wants to take the low ground expo. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Eventually we do take it here, but at way too many minerals and a little bit too much supply as well. This is already painful. I'm not a fan of how this is going here for Dark. He's trying so hard to outsmart his opponent, and it did work in the previous game, but what I'm saying is like it's one of those builds where you kind of have to play against it like once a week or so. Preferably from a very high-ranking Zerg in order to comfortably beat it every single time. But if you haven't seen it in a little while and maybe your opponent just throws a bit of a curveball, like not going for the inject in the base, but going for a creep tumor and then you know, making a couple spike crawlers and stuff. Like, it's a bit different. You don't know exactly how to approach it. It's very easy to accidentally lose against builds that are, quote-unquote, solved. Anyhow, game number 3. Classic has been trying to play a normal game this entire match so far, and he hasn't really been allowed to. It looks like in game number 3, though, everything is going to be a little bit more normal. Yeah, nothing all too crazy. I'm also a bit on edge, though, and I can't blame Classic if he is also feeling just a little bit concerned about whatever Dark has got planned. Is he really just going to play a macro game after proxy hatching and 12 pooling me in the previous games? I just want to reiterate, by the way, that I think Dark is one of the very best late game players in the world. I feel like that is nice to occasionally remind you of, because it oftentimes looks like he plays strategies where he wants to win in the early game, he wants to win in the mid game. Even though I feel like he is probably at his strongest when he's playing that really long, drawn-out, patient macro game. It could be due to the new multiplayer balance patch that he's just not feeling too comfortable doing that at the moment. But I mean, other Zerg players, right? Like, for example, Serral, they're feeling pretty comfortable playing the late game, it seems. I mean, they're still certainly looking very powerful, but yeah, Dark never really, I always kind of feel like Dark, especially, so this is from the KSL, the Korean StarCraft League. For the smaller online cups, it kind of feels to me like Dark has another appointment that he really needs to get to. And that's why he oftentimes resorts to build orders like this. So I think this is from the semifinals, maybe the round of 8, I'm not exactly sure, but this is pretty deep into the tournament. It's when you start facing guys like, for example, Classic. So I would imagine that you also want to, yeah, give yourself a little bit of time to properly play out the games, but especially for the smaller online cups in the earlier rounds, Dark is cheesing basically the entire time. Anyhow, Classic indeed a little bit concerned about the current situation. He decides to go for a Void Ray first. This is going to allow him, well, a bit of damage on the opponent's overlords. It's not going to be the strongest build overall, but it's one of those situations where if you do feel like playing the macro game, you can almost force it, right? The Void Ray allows you to not die to a lot of early game shenanigans. Yeah, and albeit not everything. There are still like queen pushes. There's like Knight is where in play. Queen drops, just straight up queen marches. There are some queen-based attacks that can still be very handy. This Adept is in a world of trouble, but she's gonna at least take down a few Zerglings on her way out, so that's something. Yeah, Void Ray wanted to... Oh, really? Really? Alright. Classic with the reverse Uno now. God, this is a banger of a series, isn't it? I'm having a grand old time. Classic here decides to go for a Fleet Beacon right now. Second Stargate. It's a Void Ray into an Oracle into, I would imagine, Mass Tempest. Huh. Let's see. So, I have seen Classic do this build quite a bit. I don't know if he's done it specifically against Dark. Probably. Oh my god, this Oracle actually getting 4 kills is really nice. You can't really hope for more when you're just going for a single Oracle. No. I thought for a second it was a third Stargate. It's not. Second Stargate. That would be insane, because you cannot really properly afford them. Tempests are real expensive, and they actually build, at least compared to like carriers, relatively fast. Compared to Mama ships, they take merely seconds to produce, whereas the Mama ship takes about a year. We also are going straight into the Tectonic Destabilizers upgrade. That is the upgrade that allows the Tempest to deal double damage to structures. So we're still killing drones, by the way. That's 6 workers in total on just a single Oracle. No Adepts coming across the map. So ultimately what you really need here, as Zerg, is a Spire. You cannot really beat this with Hydras or Queens or anything like that. Actually, I think I did cast a game recently where Dark decided to play some Queen drops against somebody who was going for Tempest, and it didn't really work out all too crazy good for him. So he's gonna try and just buy time with the Queens and the Spores and all that to ultimately go up towards the Spire, right? So it's gonna require a lair. The Spire itself takes about 4 years to produce as well, but obviously we can use this. Yeah, so he used like a, I think it was Dark, he used like a defensive Overlord to pick up the weakened Queens, which sounds like a big Dark move for sure. There's the Spire coming up. Zergling's going in for the counter-attack, it seems. 2 more Tempests are just about to join the fray. Tempest number 5 and 6 are on the production tab here as well. So I think last time I saw Classic play this, I think he went 6 Tempest and then into like a Twilight Council push or something like it, which was really kind of cool. Instead, Dark decides to respond in this match though with a Baneling bust. What in the world? Really? I mean, Banelings that are not with their Centrifugal Hooks upgrade are really slow. Tempest over here are winning the fight as well. They don't really require a lot of micro. If you really are concerned, we could even recall the probes on out of this base. But this is horrible right here for Dark. Right now though, with most of the queens gone, and the spore crawlers and whatnot taken care of as well, the hatchery itself is in some trouble. So it takes about 5 Tempests to one-shot most things. And we're getting to that point right now. Yep. A lot of the units are low in hit points. We still have Zerglings going to town, but apparently the probes have walled themselves in fully on that side with a shield battery. That's the 3rd base going down. Now, Corruptors are coming. 3rd Stargate and Void Ray transition is already well underway. Classic just killed that base in just a few shots. Very brave queen over here, by the way, but she did get absolutely murdered. He's saving the recall. He could have recalled the probes, but he's saving the recall in case he needs it. Are we gonna snipe another hatch? So the Corruptors are out right here. Look at the timing. Recall? Are we gonna recall? I think we should recall, no? Alright, instead we're just gonna stand here and fight. Prismatic alignment is pretty neat, not gonna lie. The weird thing about this particular situation right here, though, for Classic, is that he hasn't really killed his opponent's drones. So it rarely happens that you kill 2 bases, but no workers. Yeah, what a battle. What are we even looking at right now? I mean, I see 3 Corruptors on the production tab, and I see 3 Void Rays at the same time, too. Which can really only work out favorably for the man making the Protoss units. GG. It's Classic who obtains the victory in one of the most cheesy series that I've casted all year. Now today I want to give a special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much for directly supporting the channel. In case you're interested in maybe some of the perks yourself as well, you can head on over to patreon.com/LowkoTV. There's a link down below in the description of this video. For now though, have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile. And I hope to see you once again tomorrow for another video.